How are celebrities treated inside Scientology?
All I know is how I was treated. And, you know, my peers. I mean, that's who I hung out with. I know that it's a lot different. Actually, I do. Only because, like, this was another question for me. Like, here I was. I had Ray Midoff, who's the top auditor on the planet, the senior CS international. I had RTC technicians, whatever, people. Plus, and I'm in LA, and I had my own auditor, the CS, the senior CS, and then they would all go over my folder. Then they'd send it to Richard Reese at Flag, who's the senior CS of Flag, and he'd go over the floor, and they would, you know how long it took me to get a fucking CS'd? Like, I'd do a thing, and I'd make an origination like, you know, I'm not sure I like this. My next session would be about a month later. Because they couldn't fucking handle, because there were so many vias on the comm line. So how was I handled? I was handled with the best attention ever. And I said, you know something? If this is the best of the best, that's what I was saying to him at the end. I said, how the fuck, and that's another thing I said about Clear the Planet. If you are the best motherfuckers in the world and you admitted you fucked the shit out of me, what happens to poor schmo at Orange County Org who you're saying, you know, just, because when you first saying, well, you just need ethics. Or some fucking thing. He's still stuck in some ethics cycle going, and they're fucking, it's because they fucked him up and they said, no, you need more set checking. And he can't afford it. Or some fucking thing. And it's not even the right fucking thing. These guys don't know what they're doing. They're fucking hoping. You know what I mean? They're hoping. And the fucking crime of the bitch is they say, aha, we're going to work this out, and I'm going to put in a little oregano, and the other guy says too much salt, and here's your folder. And of course, we've got it CS'd and ready to go, and I'd be like, this fucking sucks. It's a wrong fucking item. And your needle's floating. I'd like to indicate it is the wrong item, and it go right back to the motherfuckers for another month. And meanwhile, I've already bought $100,000 worth of auditing, and it's more going through this thing. And then it's like just talking about some stupid fucking overts to start because I haven't had a session. Well, I masturbated and I mean, you're coming up with, who the fuck cares? I said, you know what I mean? I got nothing. It's not like I'm fucking killing people or beating my children or something. You know what I do? You know, internet porn and I don't know. You know, I got mad at work and, you know, you got nothing to fucking say. And this is it. And that'll fucking eat the whole cocksucker. It's just unbelievable.
Celebrities are used heavily for recruiting.
Yeah.
And they recruit young actors coming to town. I see every weekend in Backstage West, now it's up to 5 or 6 ads for different workshops they do. Are you familiar with
that
at all?
Yeah, I gave one.
All about?
Yeah, they got me to do one once. Yeah, people got interested and they signed up for courses. Yeah, and they use people to do that. I suppose they're targeting actors. That's what I've understood. It's good public relations for them, I suppose. Or if somebody hits big, it's thanks to Scientology.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who do them, and at first they were very reticent to do some of the things, say some of the things that they're pressured to do. In other words, you know, Scientology, and say that Scientology, and that you use the ethics conditions all the time, you know, in your career and all these kind of things. But after they, yeah, but then after they've done a couple of them, they even start to believe it. It's very hard. You have to look. I mean, you know, these are decent, good people, and they. It's like, I don't want to say so many alarming things, but I mean, it's, you know, how do people get involved in these destructive relationships just between two people? You know, there's a lot of people that get knocked around and come back. And, you know, I doubt the person knocked them around on the first date. And it's, you know, it's sad. And just looking at that those celebrities. You sell a little piece of your soul when you tell that lie, but you've got it all justified that, you know, well, it's good people and it's for the church and, you know, I'm helping the group and and you got it thing. But I'm telling you, you know that you're full of it a little bit. And you know that if you really look at it, it's okay. And like in any other universe, you know, if that came up in session, it would be an overt. But not there. Because you're doing it, because they've got the whole thing, I mean, this whole hard sell and all this thing, I mean, and what they, you know, do to recruit, shit, actors is one thing. What about the little children they get into the Sea Organization? Billionaire contracts, you know?
Yeah, what's your reaction to the Sea Org and the way that Sea Org members are treated as opposed to the celebrity clientele? Are you aware of some of the things that happen to Sea Org members?
Well, I mean, I've heard things, and and they seem quite plausible. I have never seen anybody been abused. I've seen people kind of screamed at. But I've never seen that kind of abuse. To me, I mean, it's, let's say, you know, you hear my story and I got out and I've got some sad tales and maybe I got ripped off for a good chunk of money and this, that, and the other thing. If you look at that as compared to somebody who joins the Sea Org, it's not even comparable. Can you imagine what it would be like to have a person at your beck and call and complete disposal, your slave, who not only was a slave by force, but by you know, you've got them by the mind, not the balls. You got them by the mind. So they're in love with you, devoted to you, to do whatever you want for their entire lifetime. Okay? And you can just get them, so they're working, let's say, I mean, just a person working 100 hours probably is what the average Sea Org person works a week. I'd say about 80 to 100 hours a week. What's the minimum wage on that is, you know, I mean, it's not even minimum wage shit. I mean, they build the buildings. They do everything. High-tech stuff. I mean, is it worth at least $75,000 a year? So that's it. And then you get that for 50 years, 40 years, because they get them when they're teenagers, you know? And they, you know, they've also hired a dentist who takes care of their teeth. They've also hired you know, all these kind of things. It's part of their organization. I mean, what is that? That's just millions and millions of dollars worth of free labor. I mean, it's not only that, plus your whole life. And what do they get in exchange? They believe that they're saving this sector of the galaxy. And that's enough for them. And they're the few people who have the ethical fortitude to make that kind of a commitment.
What's your reaction to the RPF?